Thank you for making this webinar, this time the center of your world for this evening. My name is Xander Townend. I'm a counselor and a therapist with lovewithboundaries.com. I'm part of the therapeutic team. We have a great team of registered clinical counselors, all trained by Candace in her unique method of working with families to establish love with boundaries. Most of you are familiar, well, many of you are familiar. Some of you are clients, some of you are former clients. Others have been part of, subscribed to Candace's newsletter for years. We're really happy to have you here. We're really excited for what we are going to be presenting to you this evening. At this point, for anybody who's not that familiar, who's watching a replay of this, this is going to be a webinar on intentions versus resolutions presented by Candace Plattor of lovewithboundaries.com. And she has been, I'm trying to do double duty with letting people in at the same time as I'm doing the introduction, so pardon the interruption.
You're doing great.
Well, thank you. So Candace has been working as a counselor now for the past 30 years. This is your 31st year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that
I
right?
believe so. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So Candace also has 33 and a half years of recovery herself. And she takes that practical knowledge of working with families with her own practical experience into her counseling sessions. And she has trained us as a group of her team to work with families to help you in the way that she would do, but she's too busy to be able to see everybody who wants to see her. So our team is committed to helping the family members of addicts and of any kind, which includes alcoholics, to come out of the pain of addiction. So at this point, I'll pass it over to Candace, and where there will be an opportunity after the main body of the presentation for you to ask questions. And so here we go, Candace, intentions versus
Okay.
resolutions.
Okay. Um, so I have to remember to look into the green dot. Um, so hi everyone. We've got like 88 people registered for this today, and it's so great to see all of you and all of your names if I'm not seeing your faces. So as I've said in other webinars that I've done, you're going to see me using my notes. What I love about Zoom is that I can have my notes on the screen and I can refer to them. So you might see me looking down and then looking back up, and I'll try not to do that too often, but just bear with me. I really like talking about this topic about intentions versus resolutions, because so many people get these two confused. And there's an important distinction. In fact, most people don't even think about intentions. They just think about the resolutions part. And I think there's a lot to be gained from looking at intentions instead. When I opened up my email this week, it's the new year, it's January, it's resolution time. I had subject lines, you probably had them too. I had subject lines that said things like, "Are you ready to transform your life?" And "It's a new year for a new you." And I thought to myself, no, not so much. That's not my way of doing things. And that's not going to be what this webinar is about. But before we talk about intentions, what I'd like to explain, what I'd like you to understand, is that first and foremost, we live in a money-based society. More than anything else, pretty much everything is wrapped up around money. Most of us were brought up to believe that we're not good enough. We hear it at home, we hear it at school, we feel it when we're with our friends. And then as we grow older, We hear it on TV, we read it in magazines that we're just not good enough. You're just not good enough the way you are. So you have to buy our product and use our product, and then maybe you'll be good enough. That's the message that we get from everywhere. So we keep striving and striving to measure up, to feel good enough, to feel worthy of having a good life, to stop being our own worst enemy. Can any of you relate to that? I know you can. There is a saying in Narcotics Anonymous, which I went to for quite a long time in my recovery. If anybody else has been to Narcotics Anonymous meetings, you may have heard this. The saying goes like this: if you talk to me the way I talk to myself, I'd have to kill you. If you say the things to me that I say to myself, that would not be okay with me at all. Because we're always saying these really terrible things about ourselves. And it keeps the charade going. It keeps us in our comfort zone that we're not good enough. We've been so indoctrinated to do that. But we are good enough. We've always been good enough. It's a marketing ploy. First, our parents used it, then our school used it, mostly to keep us in line when we were children. But I mean, think about this. Our society uses competition to make us feel like we're either winners or losers. Winners, they get a lot of money, they get a lot of accolades and validation from people, while the rest of us who don't feel like winners keep buying the products that will hopefully make us feel better about ourselves so that we feel like winners, which is what the marketers are after. But that isn't how self-respect is earned. Now, I'm going to be talking about self-respect. For those of you who haven't been on all of the webinars that we've been doing since, November, December, I did a webinar about the difference between self-respect and self-esteem. We're going to talk about that a little bit today, but if you want to hear about that, that's on my YouTube page with all the other videos. Because I believe that self-respect, which is something most people don't talk about or even think about, is the most important thing that we either have or don't have. And self-respect is earned. We have to keep doing the next right thing and the next right thing after that so that we can earn that. So, there are very few people who've developed their self-respect because they keep trying to earn that outside validation. Am I good enough? Please tell me I'm good enough. Am I good enough? It's a horrible way to live. I used to live that way. And even the winners in life, capital W, the winners in life often don't feel very good about themselves because they don't have their self-respect. I mean, if you think about celebrities, you think about professional athletes who get themselves in so much trouble because they don't respect themselves. They don't know how to do that. Nobody's ever taught them. So they don't feel like winners, even though our society gives them lots of money, and because we feel so much shame about these feelings of unworthiness that most of us, if not all of us, carry around with us, we don't talk about it with anybody else. And so we don't know that there are like a gazillion people who feel exactly the same way that we do. And that's what the advertisers want. They like it that way because then we'll feel the need to buy their product and keep buying their product. So there's an outside force keeping us in line. We don't have to live like that. You can start making different choices about the products you buy, about the reasons you're buying something. If you're buying it because you feel like you're not good enough and maybe you'll feel better, you'll feel good enough if you buy it, you might want to take a look at that. One of my favorites was a commercial that was on years ago. There may be some of you that remember it. It was a Right Guard deodorant commercial, and the tagline was, "Never let them see you sweat." You never let them see you sweat. You never let them see that there's anything to sweat about. You're not under any stress. You're handling everything perfectly. Never let them see you sweat. Never let them see you cry, you know. And the way to never let them see you sweat is to use Right Guard in those armpits. And a lot of people bought into using Right Guard in their armpits, so they would never let anybody see them sweat. This is not a healthy way to be in the world, by the way. So you might want to just keep an eye on what you're doing and what you're putting your money toward. But I do digress a little bit because that's not really what this webinar is about. I just wanted to give you a sense of how resolutions get started. This webinar is going to have a quieter kind of message, but it's one that I think is really important in the long run. It's a message that will help you find your way to having the life you truly want, the way you want it to be. And yes, you can have that. And yes, you are worthy of having that. You're good enough to deserve it. You always have been. Don't let them tell you anything else. One of my favorite mugs, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'm not sure about this camera. I'll hold it up, maybe you can see it, but it says, "Live a life you love." And we can all live a life we love. It doesn't mean it'll be perfect all the time, or even perfect a lot of the time maybe, but we can still feel good enough about ourselves that we enjoy being in our lives. That's what I want for all of you, because I know how good that feels after years of not feeling that way. So, okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start by saying to all of you, Happy New Year. I wish you all a much better 2021 than you might have had in 2020. But here's the deal. We need to recognize that if we don't make the changes that are necessary for our own health and our own self-respect, 2021 is just going to be a continuation of 2020, which we all wanted to move on from. And it'll be a continuation if we don't make those changes. Oh, whoever that was, could you mute yourself? Whoa, thank you. So 2021 is going to be a continuation of 2020 because, and if you've heard me say this before, feel free to say it with me, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If we always do what we've always done, we'll always get what we've always gotten. That's how it works. For example, if we want COVID to go away, and who doesn't want COVID to go away, then we need to do the things that will make COVID go away, like wearing masks and keeping our distances, not having maskless rallies and big parties and things. We need to keep doing that for a while, even with the vaccine being rolled out. We need to do what we need to do to make the changes happen. And another example is if you want to feel more self-respect, then we need to do the things that bring that to us, because it's an inside job that nobody can do for us. I like to say that, you know, I can't give you your self-respect. You can't give me mine. We can't buy it at the 7-Eleven. It's an inside job of developing that by doing the things that give us that. So let's shift gears a little bit and look at some definitions. I'm going to do just a quick and dirty review of self-esteem and self-respect. just for those who don't understand the difference as I'm speaking about it, self-respect comes from the outside in. Self-respect is when somebody might say to me, oh, Candace, you're really so wonderful, and you're looking great and all the stuff. But the problem there usually is that when we say these things to people who don't feel good enough about themselves, they think to themselves, well, that person's a fool. I mean, they don't know me. If they knew me, they would know that I'm really not that great. So they don't take any of it in, really. Self-respect comes from the inside out. Self-respect is developed. Self-respect takes a little work. Self-respect is the most important work you can ever do, I think. And once we have that, and we feel good about ourselves, then somebody could say to me, oh, Candace, you're doing really well, good for you. And I'd probably think, yeah, I am. That's really cool, thank you. And I'm able to take that and keep it. Wonderful way to live. Again, if you want to know more about that, go to my YouTube page. There's a webinar for you, and probably some other talks as well about it, because it's important. And in terms of definitions, the new year, it's a societally dictated time for change, for resolutions. I know someone who said to me, it was back in the summertime, I think it was in July, and she said to me, I really want to quit smoking, but I'm going to wait until January, so then I can make a resolution about it. And I thought, this is somebody who doesn't really want to quit smoking. This is somebody who wants to wait and make excuses and continue to smoke, or she'd stop in July. So we don't want to do that. We don't. If there's something in our lives that we want to change, we want to change it now. Why wait? I wrote a blog post several years ago about the difference between intentions and resolutions, and it was picked up by a few places. So I was interviewed on CKNW and CBC about it, and I looked it over when I was planning this webinar. I looked it over, I read it, and I thought, it's pretty well written. Self-respect, right? I thought it was pretty well written. And I thought, I don't really want to take a lot of time to change the wording to be able to give you different words. I thought, I'm going to read to you just a few short passages from this blog post. Some of you may have read it already, but we didn't post it this year. So this is the first part. Isn't it interesting how we as a society agree that this is the time to give ourselves and our lives a complete and total new makeover? We've decided that at this time of year, we'll revisit the year that we're leaving behind, especially 2020. I mean, we're all kind of doing that, aren't we? Dissecting it to see what worked for us and what didn't. And on top of that, we need to make sure that we meet all of our resolutions quickly and perfectly, or else we failed. We're losers. No pressure there. While there's nothing wrong with reassessing yourself from time to time and exploring changes you'd like to make, the problems come when you allow yourself to over-identify with the hype of the season. It's one thing to make the overblown and often unrealistic New Year's resolutions you think you should make. Should is a really operative word with resolutions, by the way. So the unrealistic resolutions that you think you should make at this time of year, and quite a different process to take stock of where you are in present time, to see what you might like to be doing differently so that you can live your best life. I'm going to give you a resolution story from my life. Probably about 20 years ago or so, I started going to the gym. on a regular basis. And I started doing that because I have a tendency to gain weight. I can gain 5 pounds just looking at a chocolate chip cookie, and I really like chocolate chip cookies. So I also have Crohn's disease, and I was thinking, I probably can do better. I can probably be healthier. And I think I need to maybe exercise. Like when I feel like I need to exercise, I like to sit down until that urge passes. Like that's the kind of exerciser I am. But I knew that I needed to get my body going. I just knew that. So I joined a gym, a women's gym. And I started going a few times a week, and I went at the same time every day. So I got to know people. I made some friends there, and I learned how to use the machines. I got some help with that. And actually, it wasn't so bad. So I kept going back. It was great. But every year in January, all of us just dreaded it. You can probably guess what I'm going to say. We had hordes of new women coming into the gym in January. They didn't know how to use the machines. They took up the machines that we usually use. They were loud. They were talking on their cell phones. They were doing that thing. And it was like every year in January, that's what happened. About the third week in January, every year, most of them were gone. A few were still there. And they were the people who, like me, wanted to really change some things about their lives. And they knew that exercise was a part of that. So the people who came at the beginning of January and didn't stay, they made resolutions. They said, I should go to the gym, or somebody told them, you should go to the gym. Society maybe said, you should go, all the ads that are on at this time of year about, join the gym, it's so cheap, and you should really work out. So because they made a should kind of resolution, it wasn't really where they were coming from inside themselves. And they didn't stay. But the people who thought, this is really something I want to do. I may not like exercise, but I know it's a good thing for me, so I'm going to keep doing it. They were the ones that set intentions instead. So that's one story. I could probably tell you a few others, but so resolutions are like self-esteem. They come from the outside in. You should quit smoking. You should go to the gym. You should lose that 40 pounds. You should leave that relationship. You should. And so people say, okay, I will, because we're so used to feeling like we're supposed to listen to everybody else and not ourselves. So my dictionary says that a resolution is the act of solving so that we can fix ourselves. Re-solving, re-solution, resolution. So there's something in that makes us feel like we're defective somehow, that we have to fix ourselves. An intention, like self-respect, comes from the inside out. So it's about what it is that we really want from life. What do we want for ourselves? It's an I want versus an I should. Resolutions are usually goal focused, like I'm going to lose 40 pounds, or I'm going to go to the gym every day, or things like that. Intentions are usually more general in focus and may have a few parts to them. Like mine was, I just really want to get healthier. That was my intention. I just wanted to get healthier. And I'm happy to say that I have gotten healthier because of feeling like I wanted to do that. Now, there were a few parts to that, exercise was one of them. A different kind of diet for Crohn's was one of them, taking care of myself emotionally, spiritually, all of that stuff. But the goal itself, the intention itself was more general. than I have to do this or this. So again, from my blog, my dictionary defines intention as the determination to act in a certain way. This has nothing to do with seeing yourself as a problem that needs to be resolved. Instead, intentions are about becoming aware of different ways that you would prefer to be in your life. It's about how you want to show up in the world. What kind of person do you want to be? What do you want to look like? What do you want to feel like? How do you want to be with other people? That's intention. So some examples of an intention might be to become more patient with the people in your life, to treat others with more kindness, to feel like you're making a positive difference in the world. And if you love an addict, it might be about setting healthier boundaries, to stop enabling the addict in your life so that they can finally recover. This all comes from wanting to develop and increase your own self-respect. So we make resolutions because we think we're broken or defective in some way. We have to fix ourselves. We set intentions because we care about how we're doing, about how we're feeling, and we want to be the best we can be. I'm hoping that you can feel the difference between those two. Really important. What if you considered, I'm going to challenge you here, what if you considered letting go of what other people think you should do, and instead maybe think about how you'd actually like your life to be? Think about intentions instead of resolutions. I'm going to be asking you in just a minute to reflect on a change or two that you'd like to make in your own life. Specifically today, you might have other ones, but for today, specifically in the relationship that you have with the addict that you love. But I want you to remember, please remember, you cannot change another person. And I have a webinar about that too. So if you're not sure, if you really think you can change other people, go to my YouTube page and hear about that, because you can't. Sorry, not sorry, you can't. You can influence others, but you can't make them change. It's just not a possibility on this planet of free will that we live on. So make sure that the intention you set is for you, not for somebody else. So you don't want to say something like, I want my husband to talk to me more, because that's about your husband changing. You want to make sure it's about you making a change. You're the only one who can do that. You can influence your husband to make a change, right? So you don't want to say as your intention, I want my addict to get clean and sober, because that's about the addict. And you want to be able to make an intention for yourself. It starts with you. It's really tempting to try to make all kinds of intentions for your addict, but it just isn't going to work that way. So make the intentions, the changes that you want to make. So you might want to say, I want to feel better about myself, physically, emotionally, something more like that. You might want to say, I want to stop enabling the addict I love. So there could be some pieces involved, and that's a general goal. How do you get there? There might be some pieces, there will be some pieces involved in how you become able to stop doing that. Gandhi's thing about be the change you want to see. So you might want to say something like, I want to be the change that I want to see in my family so that we can all live our best lives. But make sure it's about you. Make sure your intention's about you. So we're going to write some of those changes, those intentions down on paper. I hope all of you brought some paper and pencil. If not, you can go and get it because I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do this. And before you start, if you've started, please stop for a minute. Before you start, if you write an intention down and you have some thoughts about how you might go about making those changes, like some of the pieces involved, then write those down too. And also maybe think about whether you might need some outside help in being able to make these intentions a reality for yourself. You might need somebody like me or my amazing team, to help you figure out how to move toward your intention that you want so much for your life. So I'm going to give you just a few minutes. It's not going to be too long, but just a few minutes. And Xander's going to stop the recording for those few minutes. And please start writing. So what I'd like you to do is maybe finish your sentence that you're writing, finish your thought, and then put your pencils down. I feel like the teacher that I used to be many, many moons ago. Put your pencils down, students, and come back and be with us. Because you can go back to this. If you're not done, you can go back to this later. And I hope that that's been a useful exercise for you. What I'm going to do now is challenge you even more. And I'm going to ask whether there's anyone on this call who would be willing to share one of your intentions for 2021 with us. If you do this, you can get some feedback from me right away if you want it. We may have time for 2 or 3 courageous people to share before we start the Q&A. And I think what you're going to see is as people start to share their intentions, that you're going to look at yours, you're going to think, oh, mine's just like that, because we all feel the same kinds of ways, we all have different scenarios, different things happening to us, different details maybe, but they're the same feelings. If we love an addict, it's the same feelings. So, Xander, can you tell people how to raise their hands?
What I want to invite people to do is, if you want to share one of your intentions, please unmute yourself and go ahead and take your turn and share your intention.
Okay, I see Marlene. And Marlene, if you feel like putting your video back on so we can see you while you talk, feel free to do that. You don't have to, up to you.
Hi.
Hi.
It won't let me. It says I can't start it because the host disabled it.
Oh,
my video.
Bad Xander. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Tell us what you. I want to look at you. Your name is over there, and I keep wanting to look over there, but I'm going to look in the green light. Yeah. So talk to us.
I wrote to become more regulated emotionally.
Ah, that's such a good one. Oh my gosh. Can you tell us a little bit more about why you put that one down, and maybe a piece or two that you feel you'd need to do to get to that?
Yes, I'm the person who's been in recovery for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I live with an untreated codependent who's very critical, and I'm overreactive to their opinion of me.
Right.
And I'm like a yo-yo, some days I can detach and be very centered and focused. And other days it's like somebody touched a burnt part of my skin and I just lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And that extreme up and down makes the other person anxious and unsafe. And then I have this guilt and regret and almost like a resolution to not do it again. And then of course I do it again.
Right. Can you see, so if you say to yourself, I shouldn't be doing this, I'm not going to do this again, that's kind of a resolution. Does it feel different to you to say, what I really want for myself is to be more regulated emotionally? Does that feel different to you?
Yes, it feels way different.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
does feel more like an intention rather than I have to fix this thing that is wrong with me, that's been wrong with me for so many years. Even in childhood, I had bad temper tantrums. So
Right. Right.
and now I'm in an adult relationship where I do that.
Yeah. And the good news is this can change. And the reason I know that is because you're aware of it. Because we can't change anything that we're not aware of, that we won't allow ourselves to be aware of. So good for you. And
Thank you.
thank you so much for being so courageous, so brave to share this with us. And I think, we usually say this at the end, but I'm going to say to you and to everybody else, if you feel like you'd like some help with this, with anything that you're going through, we give a 30-minute free telephone consultation. All you have to do is fill in a questionnaire. And I think that, and it's a short one, it's not like reams long. Xander will talk about it at the end, I think, and let you know how to do that. But thank you so much for being our first. Congratulations. I wish you all the best with it.
Thank you.
Okay, so who else? Somebody else, Melissa, was it you who had your hand up?
I believe that Terrell has herself unmuted and is possibly ready to share.
Okay,
I am.
great. Hi,
And
Terrell.
what I wrote, hi, is
Hi.
pretty similar in a way.
Yep,
But
told you.
I wrote, to learn to live a peaceful existence and to understand that is my response to others' actions that impacts me, but not their actual actions.
So you're talking about having a choice about how to respond.
Correct. Yes.
Because somebody can do something and you can get really upset and, or somebody can do something and you can talk to yourself in a different way and be saying, you know what, I don't like it, but I'm not going to get myself all twisted up about it.
Exactly.
Am I reading that right?
Yes, you are. That is correct.
Fantastic. So what are some pieces? Did you get to that point? Did you have enough time to think about what some of the pieces may be for you to be able to achieve that?
Not really. I didn't
Okay.
really know.
Okay.
And I would say this is more stuff that comes up at work, but it's still part of, how I'm reacting to others' actions
Yeah.
and getting myself worked up over things that I don't have control over them. I have control over how I react, and I have to pull back.
Those, the serenity prayer, and of course I talk about that in one of the webinars from December. The only thing we can control and change is ourselves. And really the only things about ourselves that we can control are our choices and our reactions. It's pretty simple. It's not always easy, but it's pretty simple in terms of, there's not a whole lot of other stuff we can do except change ourselves, change our choices, change our responses. So thank you, Terrell. That's
Thank you.
great. Yeah. Yeah. Who
If
else,
anybody
Xander?
else if anybody else would like to share one of their intentions, then please unmute yourself and start talking. Introduce yourself.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Bianca.
Hi, Bianca.
So what I've written down is something I've been working on for several months actually, and basically it's just to continue creating the life that I desire.
Mhm.
And what that involves for me is to stop rescuing, enabling, whatever term that you would prefer to use.
Either one's good.
Yeah, my child, my son. And the other thing that I'm have been working hard on is letting go of thoughts and worries, fears, guilt about all of the things that I can't control or change.
I
So
love
that's
that.
where is very meaningful to me. Certainly, I knew of it from years ago, but to have it reinforced again, by yourself. And I did just finish your book as well, so
Great.
I'm grateful to be part of this online community, but also I'm grateful for how it helped me when I was reading your book and made me think about the actions that I can take and to have the courage to control what I can control or change what I can control, which is me.
Yeah. The courage to change the things we can, and the things we can are right here. Yeah. That is so cool, Bianca. And
So thank you for these opportunities.
you're welcome. Oh, please continue to join us. We're going to do one of these every month. So, come back. And
I will.
I think the book that Bianca's talking about is this one. There are three of them. I'll show you the other ones later, but this one was my first book, Loving an Addict, Loving Yourself, the top 10 survival tips for loving someone with an addiction. So that's great. Thank you. I think we have time for just one more. Or maybe not. Speak now or forever hold.
While somebody's making up their mind about whether to share, Candace, what I will share is that everybody who's here registered for this webinar will receive an email tomorrow, it might be tomorrow evening, with a link to the replay of this. And it will be the audio replay for sure. And if I'm able to get a video replay that is worth you looking at, then I will be giving you a link to the video replay as well. Additionally, in that email will be the link to all of the other webinars that were held back in November and December.
Good.
As well as there will be a link to the 30-minute question, the questionnaire that when you fill out the questionnaire, it will invite you to schedule a 30-minute consultation.
And it's a free consultation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the consultation is to see about what kind of programs or services we could possibly offer you in order to help you come out of the pain of addiction. So at this point, it's possible that someone else is ready to share one of their intentions.
Yeah.
And if so, would you please just introduce yourself and start speaking?
Yeah, if not, we'll just go into the Q&A.
Okay.
But if there is anyone, I'd love to hear from you.
Hi, I'm Gaylen.
Hi, Gaylen.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I'm good too.
Good.
I intend this year to find my way. I feel very lost in my life. I've had a very tumultuous couple of years. And I really lack direction. When I'm asked, what do you want? I can't really answer that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And isn't that an important thing to know?
Yeah, it's if I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Pretty hard
But at least you know that you don't know where you're going. So many people don't know where they're going. They don't have a clue that they don't know where they're going. So I'm really happy for you that you know that. So what might be some of the steps that you need to take, some of the pieces to be able to start to know yourself better, or understand yourself better, and not feel quite so lost?
I really don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I do a lot, but I continue to be lost.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's possible that talking about it more will help you. So maybe you can do that. This is a really good thing to talk about with somebody who can help you find your way. So I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Sounds like it's time for Q&A.
Yeah, let's go into the Q&A. And if anybody did want to share the intention that they wrote, you can do that in the Q&A as well. Xander, do you want to explain the Q&A?
So what I'll invite anybody to do is, when you have a question that you'd like to ask Candace, you could, in the chat, just say, I'd like to ask a question. Now you can say that in the chat directly to me, because you can select my name and send me a chat message. You could also ask the question in the chat if you don't want to actually be speaking up. So if you have a question that you'd like me to ask Candace on your behalf so that you remain anonymous,
yeah,
that's great. Please send me that message in the chat. And for anybody who's not familiar with how to do the chat in Zoom, usually at the bottom of the screen, but it depends on what kind of device you're on. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, it's usually at the bottom of the screen near the center. There's a cartoon speech bubble that says chat. There, somebody has just done that. Great. And so we have someone who struggles with knowing if I am enabling or supporting. Can you please explain the difference and how to tell?
That's one of my favorite things to talk about. Okay.
It's such a big question, isn't it, Candace? I mean, we hear this from so many people.
Yeah. I mean, you know, people start working with us, and sometimes often one of the first things they'll say is we know we're enabling, but we don't know what else to do. We don't know how to stop. We don't know what helping really means. We don't understand. So, and you know, there aren't that many people talking about this. So it makes sense to me that you wouldn't know. And it also makes sense to me that you love the addicts in your lives. You don't always like them. You don't always like their behavior, but you love them and you just want to help them. You want to help them feel better. We get that at Love with Boundaries. We get that. The problem arises when helping and enabling gets confused. So very simply, an enabling behavior is when you're doing something for somebody else that they could and probably should be doing for themselves. A helping behavior is when you step back, you allow the person to do what they need to do for themselves, and sometimes they might fall down, go boom, you know, as they're learning how to do what they can do for themselves. But what we know for sure, there isn't a question about it, is that an enabled addict does not recover. Because why should they? If you're giving them money, you're paying their rent, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're letting them live in your home, all the stuff that people do to try to help the addicts feel better, and they're continuing to use and they're continuing to be obnoxious with you, which often happens, why should they change anything? On paper, they've got it made, you know? Their rent's paid for, their food's been bought, sometimes mom will do the laundry, you know, and so why should they change anything if you're going to continue to do everything for them? The other piece of that, so the one piece is that an enabled addict does not recover. The other piece that goes with it is enabling is never, ever, ever a loving act. Because by enabling, you keep the addict stuck, or you contribute to keeping the addict stuck in the addiction. They're not going to recover. So every time you do something for them that they can and should be doing for themselves, you help to contribute to keeping them stuck in the addiction. That's the difference. And if you want to know more, you know, come on our website, watch some of my videos. There's somebody making some noise. You need to mute yourself, please. Please mute yourself. Thank you.
Unmute.
Oh. So,
Continue, Candace.
Xander, can we do something about that?
Yes, I catch it as fast as I can.
Okay, thank you. So if you need more information about helping and enabling, if you're not sure if you're helping or you're enabling, you can read my book, you can listen to some videos, you can fill out a questionnaire and have a 30-minute consultation. You know, we want to help. If we can help you, we want to be there for you because we know how difficult this is. So that's what I'll say about that for now. But thank you for the question. It's a great question.
So is there anybody who would like to put a question in the chat for me to ask on your behalf? If so, please do that now, or unmute yourself and
talk to me.
Speak up.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself. If you cannot unmute yourself, then please send me a message in the chat saying, please unmute me, in the event that Zoom is functioning in such a way that I have muted you and that you want me to unmute you.
Help, I can't unmute myself. I need to talk.
So it doesn't look like we have anybody else who's wanting to ask a question at this point.
Okay.
I have one. It's
Oh,
Linda.
Oh, hooray!
Hi, Linda.
Hi. I think I can speak and say things. And unfortunately, a bad habit I have is analyzing what I've said after the fact. And I will hear my ambivalence, and I will hear how critical I can be of behaviors. I know I love the person I'm with, and yet that ambivalent feeling can really make me feel pushed and pulled a lot. And it would be really great to get to a place that didn't feel that everything was about that push and pull.
Mm-hmm.
That there was a direction that felt, yeah, this is a good direction to go. This is how I need to go for me.
Okay.
What are some of the best ways to tune into what is the thing I need to do for me?
You know, I think if I were working with you, what I would want to do would be to get underneath that ambivalence. That ambivalence is a symptom of something else. So what is it that you're feeling afraid of? It's like, you know, I think it might be feeling for you kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Do you say something? Do you not say something? Do you do this? Do you not do this and you do that instead? And what's the difficulty that you have in making a decision for yourself? That's what I would want to find out. Because I think it probably stems from something else that you're not aware of yet.
Right.
And once you have that piece of information about yourself, I think things will really change for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck. That's a really good intention for 2021 is to learn about, your ambivalence and what's causing it so that you can shift that. Ambivalence can feel just crazy making. Yeah, it's like not being able to, yeah, I get it. I get that kind, I've felt it myself. So I know it's got to do with something deeper. Yeah.
Okay, Candace, we have another question here for you.
Okay.
And it was there, so please. How do I support a friend whose wife has a few drinks every night? Is there anything I can say to him or speak to her, or should I speak to her directly?
What I would be interested in, first of all, is how it's affecting you and kind of why you want to get in there. I understand that you would want to help your friend. I remember when somebody told me for the first time that they thought I had a problem with drugs. I was not a happy camper. I did not like hearing that. And it almost cost us our friendship because of that. So you might want to just, I think it's great that you're asking the questions so that you're looking at this. When people aren't ready to get help and other people are telling them you need to get help, it often makes them kind of feel like they're backed into a corner, or that's what happens, is that they feel backed into a corner. And there's some shame involved in that for people, because deep inside, the woman who's drinking, your friend's wife who's drinking, knows that she has a problem. I can tell you that as a recovering addict, as an addict, that we know that we have a problem. When somebody else tells us we have a problem, it can send us into a tailspin of shame, and people respond differently to that. Some people lash out, some people go into deep depression, right? I would imagine that your friend also knows that there's a problem, and maybe hasn't been quite ready to reach out for help, because maybe your friend knows that, I'm assuming it's a he, that he would have to make some changes in himself, in the relationship, in order to continue. If he starts looking at, there's a problem here, that's opening up kind of a can of worms for him, and he may not be ready to do that. But what you could say, I like to teach people how to use assertive language. So assertive language is when we use I statements. I think, I feel, I believe, I know, I understand, I need, I want, those kinds of, right? So you can be saying to your friend, I really care about you, and I've been seeing that there may be a problem with so-and-so's drinking, and I just want to tell you that if you ever need some help with that, you can come to me. Doesn't have to be today, but if you ever want to talk about it, if you ever would maybe like a referral to get some help or something, just know that you can come to me, because I really love you and care about you. And I care about your wife too. And maybe that's one way to do it without getting really involved in their problems. They're not going to like it if you do that. You can have the best intentions in the world. They're still not going to like it if you do that. So I hope that helps.
Okay, that's all the questions that have been submitted so far. So if there's anybody else who would like to ask Candace a question, we've got a few minutes left that we can spend doing that. And if we don't hear from somebody speaking up fairly soon, then we'll bring this to a close, say thank you very much. Now, Candace did mention that we are going to be doing a series of webinars once a month is our intention. You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Okay, great. That's our intention for this year.
Hopefully we'll keep our intention. Yes.
Well, between you and me and cracking the whip on each other around following through,
Yeah.
I'm confident that we will. So our February webinar, there's going to be an email coming out about that in a couple of weeks. It's going to be entitled Fess Up February.
Fess Up February.
You want to give them a little preview of what that topic's all about, Candace?
Well, there's this great saying, there are so many amazing sayings in 12-step programs, and they just stand the test of time because I learned most of them 30 years ago and I still love them. And this one says that it's our secrets that keep us sick. We're only as sick as the secrets we keep. So I know that to be true for my life, and I don't really have many secrets anymore. I'm not going to say I don't have any, but I don't have many. I'm a private person, but I also, I don't really care if people know things about me. And it's just a much easier way to live. So what we want to do is help you fess up and maybe talk a little bit about some of the things that you're keeping secret. Because I think it would help everyone to do that. I know it will. If you, and you can come to the webinar, because this might feel scary for you, I'm thinking of what you said, Xander, about cracking the whip. We're not going to crack the whip and make you talk about your secrets. We're not going to do that. But you can come, there may be some people who are willing to do that and who are wanting to do that. Will be very open to that, but you don't have to. So you can come to the webinar and just listen and not speak and just take what you can, what fits for you, right? But yeah, Fess Up February, like let's start fessing up to some of this stuff, because our secrets keep us in shame, and shame is a horrible way to feel. So that's what it's about. It's going to be, I'm excited about it.
Yeah. So, and for clarity's sake, I was not commenting about cracking the whip on any of our attendees. It was more about you cracking the whip on me. Xander, make it happen.
Yeah.
And me saying, yes.
Yes. Okay.
So, brilliant. Thank you. That really helps. I love once a month. These are so valuable. Thank you, Candace. Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay. Certainly I look forward to speaking with, to seeing you. These are some of the things that people have entered in the chat. We want to say thank you all for attending. We look forward to any comments that that anyone may have. And it looks like there's somebody who has another question.
Okay.
I want to reconnect with my adult son who lives in a different city, but don't know how, as he won't answer my texts or calls.
Yeah. We had a similar question from somebody in the last webinar, I think. Might be the same person who's still dealing with this. It's not the same person. Okay. No. And you can see how common these kinds of, unfortunately, these kinds of situations are, because somebody did ask us almost the identical question.
Yeah. They go on to say he may or may not be using again.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know where the person is, and I mean, maybe you do, well, maybe you do, because they're not, maybe I'm reading it wrong. They're not getting back to you when you call. So you know how to call, you know how to reach them. They're just not answering, I think, is maybe what you're saying. I wonder, if it's a cell phone, can you text them and just
won't answer my texts or calls.
Okay. I'm not sure what you've been saying in your texts. You might want to, whatever you're saying in your texts, if there's any harsh edges to them, you might want to soften those a little bit and say, I love you, I miss you, I'm wondering how you're doing, and my hope is that, at some point you'll be able to get back to me so we can say hello to each other, and keep it something like that so that it's, if, like I say, if there's any sharp edges, to smooth them out, make it more welcoming for him to feel like, oh, okay, well, maybe I really can reach out. When people don't want to get back to, especially family members, it's usually their shame around you still being in a life that, they don't want to talk to you about their lives because they're not proud of their lives. They're not feeling good about their lives. So if we can be more welcoming, and then as you, if he does reach out to you, as you start to have more honest and real conversations, then you can get into some stuff. But in the beginning, really try to gentle it up with him. I hope he gets in touch with you.
May I offer, Candace, that yep, this is the one time I'm going to jump in here with a contribution. I was your son. I was the guy who was cutting myself off from my family because I was so full of my own shame. I didn't think that I was acceptable. And I needed to, because I knew how much I had lied, I had cheated, I had stolen, and not just physical things, not money only, just I had ripped you off from emotional connection and broken trust, broken emotional trust. And so I needed to step away and take the time to try and recreate myself, which I did. And I had a good ending to that, in that I did reconnect with my family. And I was able to do it from a place where I'd accomplished a year of sobriety. And at the end of that year, I reached out to my family, and it was great. So I can hope for you, join you in your hope that you will have something like that.
Thank you, Xander. I also want to say that if your son does get back in touch with you, that doesn't necessarily mean that all will go well, because it depends on where he is in his life, So if you reach out to him and he does respond to you and it's not going as well as you'd like it to, or you need some help, let us know. There's help out there for you.
Yep.
And by the way, Xander
Yes.
is 36 and a half years clean and sober now. So it was a good ending, a good continuing.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So I'll invite anybody to send us an email in response to the email that I send out tomorrow to you. We'd love to hear any thoughts you may have about these webinars. If you have something that you think would be a good topic or a focus for a webinar, something that you would like us to dive into.
Yeah, fess that up too. Yep.
Ding. Okay, great. So thank you all very much, everyone. We look forward to hearing from you in any way and seeing you at some point in the future.
Oh, there's a hand there.
Oh, there's a hand. So if you've raised your hand, then please unmute yourself. I am going to, there we go.
That was just a hand for thank you very much.
Aw, thanks,
Very
Linda.
helpful.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I just
Thank
saw
you.
this little yellow hand up there.
Just getting used to those. I think that really is supposed to be a clap hand, but I don't know.
I know, it's technology, right? It's technology. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this, and you had great questions and great comments, and thank you. It's great to see the ones I know and the ones I don't. Thanks.
And in answer to the other question is, yes, there will be a recording. I'll be sending that to everyone within the next 24 hours.
Great. That's
okay.
awesome.
Okay.
Bye,
Have a good
everyone.
day,
Oh,
everybody.
thanks for the heart. Bye.